Do you want to bust your sales quota? Do you want to join the ranks of top 1% sellers? The Top 1% Sellers podcast gives you the insights and the tools to help you achieve your sales greatness. The podcast features sales and services professionals, leaders, and experts to give you the edge you're looking for. Here's your host, Ash Sadiq.
Everyone, this is the Top 1% Sellers webinar series, and today's webinar is with an amazing guest, Jim Cathcart, who you'll get to know more about in a few minutes. I just wanted to make sure that everyone is aware this is a series of webinars, and we have more coming up in February. And so far, we've actually spoken to people like Jeffrey Hazlett, Tim Sanders, Lewis Sheff, and a number of other amazing thought leaders when it comes to becoming a top seller. And that is really the focus of our conversation today as well. We're going to be talking to Jim Cathcart, as I mentioned, and I will give you a brief intro into Jim's background before we get started here. So Jim has been chosen as one of the top sales influencers across a number of years, and even in 2017, by Top Sales World magazine based in London and Paris. In December 2012, Jim Cathcart was inducted into the Sales and Marketing Hall of Fame in London, England. And in addition to this, to his existing Speaker Hall of Fame listing for 5 years in a row, Jim has been selected as one of the top 5 speakers on sales and service in an online survey of over 14,000 people. And the number of accolades and the number of top sellers that Jim has is definitely unlimited. I'm going to actually give him an opportunity to share with you some of his background as we go through the conversation. We're going to be doing it in 3 segments, and we're focusing more on how to succeed in 2017. We'll look at top seller behaviors. We'll look at how to stay motivated, and then we'll cap it all up by focusing on how you bring all this together in how you communicate and how you present. So with that, Jim, welcome. Wonderful to have you here with us at the Top 1% Sellers Academy webinar series.
Thank you, Ash. It's great to be a part of this, and I love the title, Top 1% Sellers Academy. That's amazing. You know what? In 2017, I think we've got an enormous opportunity in front of us, especially this year, because this is a year where we're changing administrations and politics and all that. But we're also changing. There's like a change in the collective mindset nationwide and maybe even worldwide. Yes. People are starting to believe in possibilities again. People are starting to look at removing restrictions and regulations and barriers that have inhibited us. And there's an encouragement of business, a celebration of success that's beginning to develop. Yes. And when you celebrate successes, you get more successes. When you discourage celebrations, you say, no, I know you did real well, but don't make a big deal about it. Shh. Don't tell anybody, and maybe others will succeed, and in the meantime, they won't feel bad because you succeeded more than them. Yes. Well, that's just silly, and it doesn't work psychologically. Yes. I believe that you and I and our viewers are in for an enormous opportunity boom. There's going to be an achievement explosion starting in 2017 like we haven't seen in many, many years. And the reason is that in times of tight economy or recessionary economy or that sort of thing, yes, needs don't go away. The needs are still there. It's kind of like if you put off eating, you're still hungry. Yes. You still need the nutrients. And you may put off eating for quite some time. Yes. But when the meal's served, you're going to go up there and start chomping down on everything available, right? Exactly. So I think that's what we're going to see, and there's a huge opportunity right now to start making some big, exciting advancements real fast.
Yeah, I love how you started with it, Jim, because I think a lot of people are thinking of all the ramifications of a new administration coming in with a new president. And to your point, maybe some people are thinking, oh, our buyers are going to be cautious and pausing and wondering. but I love your own viewpoint on this, that the fact that it really is going to be driven by how you pursue what people need, because these needs are not going away, as you said.
Absolutely. And that's it doesn't matter about politics.
Yes.
What matters for the purpose of what we're doing here today with the Top 1% Sellers Academy is business is being encouraged. When business is encouraged, sales flourish.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely true. Absolutely true. And I know you talk about success velocity, and I think, as you and I were prepping here, given the fact that we are in January, I'd love for us to really think about how a lot of sellers today are planning for the rest of the year. And we want to sort of maybe cull out from the segments that we're going to cover the particular pieces that will help in that preparation, so that they are actually going out the gate very, very strong and being able to bust through all the walls that could be standing in front of them. So let's start with focus on top sellers' behaviors. And I think you've been across a number of years and with many audiences and many organizations you worked with. Maybe we can pick on the top list that you consider your own top 5, top 10 top seller behaviors, and we can maybe start with what you think is the most important.
Okay, well, let's talk for a second about what is velocity. As you mentioned sales velocity, and that's something I talk about is success velocity, which is larger than just sales. Every individual has a sort of a natural velocity. Now, velocity is not speed. Velocity is rate of advancement toward an intended target. So if you, for example, are going 200 miles an hour in a circle and you're not in a race, your velocity is 0, but your speed is 200 miles per hour. Because you're not getting anywhere. You're just going in a circle, right? But if you're going 60 miles an hour toward a target, your velocity is 60 miles per hour, right? So you would beat the person going 200 miles an hour in a circle.
Absolutely.
Right. All right. So velocity, to increase your sales or success velocity, what you need first is to know, what do you want? What's your target? What are you trying to accomplish? Well, more sales. That's kind of like, I want health, wealth, and freedom to do what I want to do. Well, so does everybody else that's ever been born. That's not a goal. That's a general condition desired by humans, right? So what's your goal? And the reason I ask is, until you can answer that succinctly, you're probably not going to make much progress. So number one, top sellers, and I've interviewed thousands of top sellers over the years. I've done 3,000 presentations to different audiences all around the world in a multitude of industries. I mean, really, over 2,000 different organizations over my 40-year career as a professional speaker and trainer. So I've worked with every kind of group under the sun. And I've learned a little about their industry in each case. And I always go to the people like yourself who are at the top of their game in that field. And I say, hey, Ash, what do you do? And I get their stories. And it's interesting how the way they describe what they do is different from what the rank and file describes. Number one, they always know what they want. So they've always spent a lot of time thinking about, what do I want? More sales. Well, what does that mean? How many more sales? And what number? How do I quantify it? And if I got more sales, why is that important to me? Well, I'd have more money. Well, what does more money mean? Well, I'd have more freedom. What does more freedom mean to you? Well, I'd be able to do what I want to do. Well, what do you want to do? Now we're back to the basic question. Let's talk about what you want in your life, in your world, in your business, and then let's see how you can get that by being more targeted with what you're doing as a salesperson. Number two, top salespeople, top 1%ers, and the top 1% of the top 1%. In many cases, I've had the chance to meet with the, like, $1 Million Roundtable would call it, the top of the table people. That's in the insurance industry. Those people, they say, well, first off, I'm willing, this is them talking, not me. I'm willing to change me in whatever ways I need to in order to achieve my goals. They say, well, I'm not going to change who I am. No, but you can change how you express who you are. In other words, you can change your habit patterns. You can change your mindset and your thought patterns. And if you look at it, I've got a model that I use in many of my seminars that I call the chain of choices.
Yes.
And it's a causation chain where this causes this to be different, causes that to be different, and on up the scale. So it starts with mindset, the way you think about selling. What's the purpose of selling? What are you trying to do? Okay. And let's assume that I think the purpose of selling is to make a sale, to get revenue. And you think the purpose of selling is to make somebody's life better at a profit. Well, you're going to be much more compassionate, much more helpful, much more willing to stick with it than I am, because I'm just going to be looking for the money. And if I don't see it, I'm going to go somewhere else. Right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. So mindset affects actions. So you choose your actions based on the way you think about what is selling. What am I trying to do here?
Yes.
How do I think about the customer? Do I respect him or her? Do I admire them and want to be of service to them? Or do I see them as somebody that has my money in their pocket?
Exactly.
Right? And that's the old style of selling. I was literally taught that years ago as a young salesperson. There's a bunch of people out there, Jim's got our money in their pocket. Now you go get it. And so that was all about me manipulating people.
Figuring it out, yeah.
Yeah. So the next thing is your mindset influences your actions. Your actions become your habits. Your habits are how you're known. That's your reputation.
Yes.
So your habits determine your reputation. How do you change your reputation? Change your actions. And keep changing them until they become new habits. Then you have a new reputation. Okay, one more. Yes. Your reputation determines who's willing to spend time with you and who wants to avoid you.
Absolutely.
Okay, so your relationships are a reflection of the reputation you've earned.
Yeah.
Change your reputation, you've changed the number of people that are willing to open their doors to you. And when you look at the relationships that are open to you, you can see the size of the future you could have if your reputation's bad, if your habits are bad, if your actions are wrong, if your mindset is sour, then your future shrinks to accommodate that cynical or pessimistic mindset.
Yes.
So optimism is not a good idea. Optimism is the only way to succeed. You say, well, I'm not going to say, yes, I can when I know I can't. Yes. That's not what optimism's about. Absolutely. There's three mindsets. Optimism, pessimism, and those that say, I'm not an optimist, I'm not a pessimist, I'm a realist, right? Well, a realist is simply a pessimist who won't admit it. Everybody's got to look at reality, but the filter you look at it through makes all the difference. If I say, here's the situation, there's no hope, then I'll give up. Yes. Or if I say, look, I know there's possibilities, but I mean, look at it. There's no hope. So I got to be realistic. I'm still pessimistic about it. The optimist says, man, what a mess. Realistically, we got a challenge on our hands. Somewhere there's a solution. Let's find it.
So you're saying that when I think what you're saying to a lot of people listening in, when you want to take a look at the relationships you have, whether they are good or bad, you're going to have to sort of backtrack all the way to your mindset, because
absolutely,
the you have today are a reflection of what your actions and habits are actually, the kind of relationships they are creating.
Yeah, and your mindset's a reflection of what goes into your mind. So the people you hang out with, you know, the way they think is going to influence and color the way you think. Yes. The books you read, the sources you go to online, the websites, the podcasts you listen to, the Top Sellers Academy, you know, those sort of things. If you control, and of course all of us do control what goes into our mind, exactly, by choosing what we pay attention to, since you control what goes into your mind, you control the mindset itself to a large extent.
Absolutely. Choose
the one that works, not the one that you're comfortable with.
Yes. Yeah, I think you made an amazing connection now between the relationships a sales professional has and the way they think and how they come across.
Absolutely.
Because to drive an amazing 2017, a relook into the relationships then means also a relook into the mindsets that each one of them has.
Yeah, and let me take that word relationship and expand it a bit.
Yes.
This is the drill down, where we unfold the whole thing.
Yes.
Relationship, I'm the author of the book Relationship Selling, as you're aware, the original author of that from back in the 1980s, and I've rewritten it many times since. Well, when I stand up in front of an audience, I'll often say, "What's a relationship?" And they say, and they throw out things. It's connections. It's people you know. It's and nobody has the same answer as the next person.
Yes.
So I said, all right, I will come up with an answer.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the definition of a relationship in a business context that I think works best. It is a direct connection between people, not between organizations, between people. You don't really have a relationship with an organization.
Yes.
A direct connection between people in which value is exchanged. Because if there's no exchange of value, there's really no relationship. You might have a superficial transaction. Good morning, how are you? Fine, how are you? We go on about our day. Or, hey, is this the way to San Jose? Yes, it is. Okay. That's a transaction. That's not a relationship. So a relationship is where value is exchanged in that direct connection. All right. Most people are not intentional about their relationships. As a matter of fact, most people aren't even aware of what all their relationships are.
Yes.
So one of the exercises I'll often lead people through is an assessment of all their existing relationships. Who do I know? Who do I communicate with every week or every month?
Yes.
So that there's an ongoing connection there. And am I giving any value to that? And am I getting any back? Or am I just throwing this down an empty hole? So look at all your relationships, and then one at a time, take a look at which ones matter a lot and determine what's your inner circle of primary relationships.
Yes.
And on each of those, spend some serious time asking yourself, how can I give more value to this? And value, this is important, is only determined by the recipient, not by the giver.
Yeah,
You can't know for sure what's valuable until they say, yes, Ash, that's what I want from you.
Yes. Makes a lot of sense. Absolutely. And I think when you think of this, especially now, there's a lot of focus on customer success.
Mm-hmm.
And you hear that term now a whole lot more than you would hear what we used to hear in terms of customer service. Now there's a much more longer term relationship because people, especially in the technology field, they are buying a service. They're no longer buying technology boxes.
Right.
It's no longer a transaction where here is your network or here is your software and I'm gone. There's much more long-term relationship. And a lot of enterprise sellers who used to sell in this old model are now being asked to be relationship sellers a whole lot more because there is the service component of it and ensuring the success. And I know you talk in your book about this whole concept of assuring, which is really tied to customer success. And I'd love for you to sort of talk about how that evolved in your mind.
Absolutely. So I look at the steps in the sales cycle as preparation, targeting the right people in the right ways, connecting with those people, head and heart, so they trust you as well as respect your expertise.
Yes.
So preparation, targeting, connecting, assessing their needs, understanding what it is you could do for them or how you could help them, right? Okay. Solving their problem, that's where you give them the sales presentation, show them how you can help. And then confirming their commitment to buy.
Yes.
So it's not closing anything. It's not an end of a sale. It's the beginning of a service, right? It's the beginning of a commitment to each other. And so even if you're selling a one-time item, still you've made a commitment to them that this item will remain valuable after the purchase.
Exactly.
And they've made a commitment that their money will be spendable. You can actually cash that check. It's not going to bounce, right? Exactly. So it's got repercussions beyond right now. Yes. And then after you confirm the sale, then you assure that they're satisfied with what they got. And then the final step in selling is managing sales and managing yourself.
Yes.
So those are the components of what I call the 8 skill sets or competencies in the sales cycle. So assuring customer satisfaction starts with anyone?
Yes.
Mindset. Here's the mindset.
Yes.
The purpose of selling is to make people's lives better. at a profit.
Yes.
Because if you don't make a profit, you can't keep on doing it. So you've got to make a profit, and profit's an honorable thing. It's appropriate and needed, and it's something you should want to be there for everybody, okay? But the purpose of selling is to make their life better. And if you can't make their life better, don't sell to them. Go sell to somebody else.
Exactly.
But let every day be a day of helping people with your products and services. So get up in the morning and say, who can I help today? And some of them won't buy, but you might be able to help them with an idea and get a referral from them, or a tip or something that leads you to even greater sales.
Yes. And I think, given that environment, then they have to position it as, I'm not gone after we get this commitment. I'm going to be with you for the long term to make sure that that solution you bought is really delivering the value.
Yeah. Even if you're not, if your company is, and someone else handles that servicing of the account, you've still got the implied commitment because you're the one that got them to say yes.
Exactly. Terrific, Jim.
Thank you for tuning in to the Top 1% Sellers podcast. Give us your suggestions and guest recommendations by emailing us at ash@connectwithash.com. Thank you also for sharing this podcast with your colleagues and social media contacts. To connect with us on LinkedIn, please send a connect request to ash@connectwithash.com. See you at our next episode. Thanks for tuning in.